This is VOA Africa.
Good evening, I'm Esther Githui Yuat. It's Friday, October 25th. This is Africa 54. African refugees evacuated from Libya tell horror stories in Rwanda. Cardinal Birhan Jesus, president of Ethiopia's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, discusses strategies for healing the country's societal rifts.
I say I love you, my baby.
And in our entertainment segment, the Ghanaian duo FOKN Bois with their hit song, Account Balance. We begin in Southern Africa tonight, where Botswana's Chief Justice on Friday announced that the ruling Botswana Democratic Party has won the general election after securing 29 National Assembly seats, representing 51% of the vote. Chief Justice Terence Ranwane said that the number of parliament seats attained so far by the ruling party, with vote counting still ongoing, obliged him to announce that Mokgweetsi Masisi had been elected president. Botswana voted on Wednesday to elect 57 National Assembly and 490 local government representatives. The main opposition, Umbrella for Democratic Change, secured 13 seats, while the Botswana Patriotic Front won 3, and the Alliance for Progressive only 1, with 73% of the voting districts counted so far. Masisi stood on his record on tackling corruption, such as making the declaration of assets obligatory for public sector officials. Now, African migrants evacuated from Libyan detention centers to Rwanda say they still want to make the dangerous journey to Europe despite the abuse they encountered in Libya. The 189 migrants were taken to Rwanda after a September agreement with the African Union. Rwanda has agreed to host 500 migrants who Libya rescued in the Mediterranean and put in detention. Rudy Elmendorp reports from Gashora, Rwanda.
37-year-old Eritrean Garnet Nagash says she paid a human smuggler $5,500 to get her to a better life in Europe. But once in a boat on the Mediterranean Sea, her journey came to a horrific end.
Our boat capsized and we were rescued by the Libyan Coast Guard. They said we were in a UNHCR compound, but it was a Libyan detention center. I can't even talk about what happened to us women there, but it was grim.
Off camera, many of the women say Libyan guards beat and raped them. Evacuated to a Rwanda transit camp, the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, now provides them with housing, food and helps to deal with the trauma.
It takes time. A healing process doesn't happen overnight, and this is why we have specialized psychologists, but also protection officers who are here to work with them and accompany them on that journey.
Nagash and other migrants say they are thankful to Rwanda for helping bring them to safety.
Because I'm standing and the place safe, and I have health and I have everything. I'm very happy.
Rwanda is temporarily hosting the 500 evacuees from Libya. But there are another 5,000 African migrants being held in Libya, in overcrowded detention centers where they face abuse, says the UNHCR. Yet, despite the risk, many like Nagash want to try again.
Europe is where I and the other refugees want to go. We don't want to stay here.
For now, these men and women are safe and have time to consider their next move for a better future. Ruud Elmendorp for VOA News, Gashora, Rwanda.
Dozens have been killed following deadly protests on Wednesday and Thursday in Ethiopia's Oromia, Harrar and Dire-Dawa regions, according to several media reports. The clashes started following tensions between federal security forces and a prominent activist and the executive director of the Oromia Media Network. At a press conference Friday, the Public Relations Director, Major General Mohammed Desema, said security forces have been deployed to bring calm and contain unrest. Media reports estimated that the death toll the past 2 days could be as high as 27 people. A reporter for VOA's Afan Oromo, Mukhtar Jamal, was also attacked by a group of people in Adama town, 100 kilometers outside the capital city, Addis Ababa. He is currently receiving treatment at a local hospital. In the midst of rising tensions and violence in Ethiopia, the Catholic Archbishop of Addis Ababa recently welcomed a positive step, the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Cardinal Berhan Jesus Demeru Surafel sat with VOA's Peter Clotty and talked about a new policy that will ensure a continuation of government projects by successive governments, the current political situation, and the future prospects for Ethiopia.
I was really very, very happy, delighted, because that was the reaction of many Ethiopians, not only in Ethiopia, but all over the world.
So there's a new policy of Medemer, synergy. Talk to me about it. What are your views? How will it impact the people of Ethiopia?
Well, the philosophy of Medemer, synergy, signifies that a country is built up through various contributions of past governments, past cultural and traditional values. You don't have to start from zero every time. Turn over a government, destroy everything what they did, and start new. You can build on what you have by taking the positive ones, strengthening those, and say cleaning up from within. So that is the idea of Medemer, that everybody is involved and can add can add his own or her own values to transitional, period.
Some people have expressed concern about the current political and security situation in Ethiopia. What is your take on that, and how can this be resolved for the people of Ethiopia?
Yes, because now Ethiopia is in a transitional time, and also being in a process of being prepared for an election to come in May. And so with all this, there are many who want to preserve their own, political interest, their own wealth, which they have, amassed before. And because of that, there is tension. But usually the tension is created. It is not from the people themselves. The people are peaceful people, and many of them struggling for their daily livings, to educate their children and live peacefully with their neighbors.
What are your expectations for the elections in May? Do you expect it to be peaceful, transparent, credible?
Yes, I'm really praying that the next election will be very democratic and very peaceful and just, because elections need always democratic institutions, strong democratic institutions. You could take, for example, the court, or the security, or the election board and the parliament. All these democratic institutions need to be strengthened every election. And we hope once you build the institutions, you will have more and more democratic elections.
Before we go, when you meet these political leaders, as an influential religious leader, what do you tell them about improving the lives of people, maintaining peace, and good neighborliness?
Well, what I tell them, whatever position they have, whatever political power they have, and if they think so, it belongs to the people. It's the people who have put them there. And tomorrow, they are there now, but tomorrow they might not be there. And I always challenge them, what is going to be your legacy? That's my question to them.
That was Cardinal Berhaniesus Demeru Surafel of Addis Ababa, speaking to VOA's Peter Claudy. Now, the Trump administration is inviting the foreign ministers of Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan to Washington to discuss a giant hydropower dam project on Ethiopia's Blue Nile. The dam has been the focus of an escalating feud between Addis Ababa and Cairo over water resources. The invitation letter obtained by VOA was extended by U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to the three countries and to David Malpass, president of the World Bank Group. The $5 billion dam, which is about 70% complete, will provide much-needed electricity to Ethiopia's population of 100 million. Cairo fears the filling the reservoir behind the dam too quickly could reduce its share of water from the Nile. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi wants guarantees that Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government would not fill the dam without an agreement. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa on Friday described Western sanctions as a cancer sapping the economy as his supporters denounced the measures during protests held around the country. Mnangagwa's opponents stayed away from the demonstrations, saying they were a distraction from the president's mishandling of the economy, which is grappling with 18-hour daily power cuts and shortages of foreign exchange, fuel and medicines. Mnangagwa has so far failed to unify the country since taking over power from the late Robert Mugabe, who was ousted in a coup in 2017. Like Mugabe, Mnangagwa blames the sanctions imposed by the United States and the European Union since 2001 for the economic ills and sees them as a tool to remove the ruling ZANU-PF party from power. In March, U.S. President Donald Trump extended by 1 year sanctions against 141 entities and individuals in Zimbabwe, including Mnangagwa. Somalia's historic monuments that were damaged and destroyed during years of civil war have been restored as part of efforts to revive the country's cultural heritage. A ceremony to unveil restored statues was held last week. Mohammed Sheikh Noor reports from Mogadishu.
Abdulqadir Hussein Mah has long campaigned for the restoration of Somali cultural heritage damaged by decades of civil war and extremism. Mah has been collecting pieces since civil war broke out in 1991 and urging restoration of independence monuments damaged in fighting dating back to the 1980s.
The lengthy civil war in the country has really destroyed all kinds of cultural heritage. I started to seek the help of anyone who had knowledge and information about cultural heritage.
The Somali government last week unveiled the restored statues of independence fighters in Mogadishu as part of its plan to revive the country's rich history.
We are delighted to be part of the revival of the country's historic monuments. They are symbolic and have so much meaning for the country.
They include the Dagahtur Monument, which honors stone-throwing Somalis killed in the struggle for independence against British forces. Among those killed was the father of Somalia's former Prime Minister, Mohamed Abdi Yusuf.
This monument has so much meaning, not only for me, but also the entire people, because it's the venue where the freedom fighters were decimated. An incident that brought about complete independence from the British colony in 10 years' time.
Mogadishu residents have also welcomed the revival of the important Mogadishu landmarks.
These newly revived monuments have beautified Mogadishu. It's a sign of peace and development.
Mogadishu is a city emerging from the ashes of civil war while living under the constant threat of terrorism. But it's also a city honoring those who gave their lives in the name of an independent Somalia. Mohammed Sheikh Noor for VOA News, Mogadishu.
You're watching Africa 54. We'll be right back.
Aisha Kasali, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
The lyrics could be French,
English,
Portuguese,
Bantu,
Arabic.
It is the beat.
The African beat that counts.
The beat does all the translations.
It cuts across all languages and gives us the understanding that this is the African beat.
It is so distinct
and adhesive.
It binds us together.
African beat on the Voice of America. For more information, visit our website at www.voanews.com/AfricanBeat.
I'm Clara Frank, and here's what's trending. At CES unveiled in Paris, the next generation of gadgets has arrived. The new Spinity pen can be spun to increase dexterity and played with for fun or in a series of coming arcade games designed to improve brain function. Meanwhile, a Lithuanian startup is showing off its latest device, a blender that seemingly floats in the air. The Milo can be charged with a phone connector, allowing it to be used anywhere in the home without wires. It's designed to look like a sleek technological device rather than a kitchen utensil. Next up, research commissioned by the office supplies company Fellows found that workers suffer from a slew of workplace health issues. To demonstrate the results of their research, the company created Emma, a model of what office workers could look like in the next 20 years. Emma suffers from eye strain, varicose veins, and stress-induced eczema, as well as paler skin from a lack of sunlight and weaker leg muscles from too much sitting. To avoid turning into Emma, employees should avoid sitting down for so much of the day, taking more walk-and-talk meetings and more regular breaks, and should cut down on screen time and typing on a keyboard whenever possible. And finally, researchers at Bristol Interaction Group have covered a smartphone with lifelike, touch-sensitive artificial skin to see how users respond to it. The creepy skin comes in two versions, either simple and smooth or ultra-realistic and wrinkly. There are no plans to market the skin. Rather, it is designed to allow us to study our responses to such lifelike outer coating on an electronic device. The researchers say the skin will allow new forms of input gestures for interactive devices like smartphones and laptops with touchpads. And that's what's trending today.
Well, as you may have noticed, Africa 54's managing editor, Vince McCormack, was in Southern Africa for the better part of this month. Vince is now back from Zambia and Malawi, from where he filed a number of reports and then co-hosted part of our program with our affiliate. Vincent, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
The set. Good to see you. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
We were so honored, happy.
It was good being down there and being able to do what
Now,
we did.
let's start with Zambia.
Yes.
Because we saw a couple of reports, definitely, and there's so much more that you did we were not able to put on air.
Yeah.
What can you share with us?
What we noticed is that actually looking around the country, this over-reliance on rainwater is really, you could say it's a cause for poverty in the country. When the rains disappear for months on end, then you have the problem of power shortages, you have a problem of food shortages, because it seems like there hasn't been a proper planning to tap into other sources of energy. For example, power from the solar energy, or perhaps wind energy, or kind of go into irrigation to mitigate this extended drought. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I noticed is a lack of that, a lack of proper planning to mitigate the ravages of the weather.
Definitely, that's the side of the government, or even to have some water reservoirs that they can tap from.
Yeah.
Now, also with the Zambia national television, the co-hosting was extremely great. How were we received in Zambia?
Amazingly. The Zambians, to a person, are watching us. So it was interesting to meet everybody who seemed like they know, they watch, and they were happy that we are doing this in Zambia.
Right. Let's move on to Malawi. The co-production was great, and one of the stories that really touched me and a lot of us here in the studio was the story on sex for fish.
Yes.
That was so desperate. I mean, we really felt it.
It all boils down to poverty, and here we're talking about women who are so desperate to feed their children. Many of them, like, you know, are orphans. They are widows who have little kids that they have to feed, and they're subjected to this blackmail by men who control the means of economics there, especially at the lakeside. These women have to buy fish from men in order to feed their children by selling them. Now, when the fish stocks are diminished and the men come back with very little fish, they can pick and choose who to sell the fish to. So these women are blackmailed into sleeping with these men. Not that they want to, not that they enjoy any of this. So it's not like they're trading. They're actually, in a way, for me, I think it's a form of rape. And it's very sad.
Rare. And the school
system in Malawi really saddened me. This because there's free education for primary school kids, but there are no resources to build enough schools. But it's not like there are no resources in the country. I was touched by the fact that I went to visit a school, one school that has 6,000 children, and there are 200 kids per teacher. There is no, there's no way these kids are getting quality education, but just opposite the road from that school, there's a multi-billion international stadium that nobody's using. So it kind of disturbs you. What are the priorities of some of these countries in terms of what should be more important, the education of kids or some monuments that have the name of a president?
Oh my goodness, hopefully they will get to think what's better than the other. Vince, that was so great. Thank you for taking Africa 54 presence in Zambia and Malawi. That's Africa 54 managing editor Vincent McCormack. It's time for our entertainment segment, and joining us now is Africa 54 Music Makers host Heather Maxwell. Heather, we are always ears and eyes Friday, waiting to be entertained. Take it away.
Thanks, Esther. Hello and happy Friday. Every week on my radio show, Music Time in Africa, I feature a really great song that I usually can't stop singing. Kwame Ofori normally joins me, and we present the song from the studio. This one we love portrays what happens when the breadwinner in a relationship is fed up with hearing the I love yous and losing faith in their partner whose dreams they've been supporting long enough. Hello, everybody. All right, for this week, Song of the Week, I'm here with Kwame Ofori. And the song is called Account Balance by the FOKN Bois. How do you say that, Kwame?
FOKN Bois.
Let's love you. All right, man, that was just awesome. That was the FOKN Bois Song of the Week. It's called
Account Balance.
I'm Heather Maxwell.
And I'm Mr. Santi here for You Now and Always.
And this is Song of the Week. All right, that's our entertainment for this Friday. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Heather, for that refreshing music. Join Heather Maxwell again next Friday for another Music Makers segment right here on Africa 54, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.